The 1996 Act was obviously the most important thing, but there were a lot of other things that were going on that were, at least from the FCC perspective, all part of the same strategy to deliver faster, better, cheaper communications through competition. I would say one of the most important things for where communications are now were the program access rules of the 92 Cable Act. What it did was it forced cable to try to figure out a new business because their view was once those rules passed, they had about 10 years before they were eclipsed by direct broadcast satellite. And that's what led to the cable industry with what was called At Home and also Roadrunner to develop broadband.
What most people don't recognize was that in 95, only 15 million people were on the internet. In less than 5 years after the passage of the 96 Telecom Act, there were 100 different nations privatized or began to privatize their national telecommunication systems.
The preamble of the 96 Act stated that its purpose was, quote, to promote competition and reduce regulation, close quote. The principal legislative report accompanying the 96 Act stated Congress wanted to, quote, provide for a pro-competitive, deregulatory national policy framework, close quote. The difficulty, of course, is that it wasn't too long after the 96 Act that it became clear that with technological convergence, marketplace changes, services in one or the other of those technological constructs were competing with each other, but yet they were subject to different regulatory regimes.
And the Telecom Act was the most significant change in our nation's communications law since passage of the original 1934 Act. The 1996 Act fundamentally changed that mindset. It changed the framework from one of regulation to promoting competition. Only about half of the provisions of that 1996 Act remain relevant today. I don't think that is a failure or a criticism. I actually think that's not being a victim of success. I think that we're beneficiaries of that success, and that we open up the marketplace to allow the market to determine winners and losers.
On innovation, I'd give it an A+. And when you look at what happened from 1996 to today, both domestically and globally, there's no question that we've had a cornucopia of innovation. Universal service, I'm giving it a C-D.
So there really are three buckets. One is access. On affordability, we're not there. The last one, which is utilization. The federal government should be using broadband to deliver essential goods and services better. We need to make sure the people who live in this country know how to use it